I'm 105 years old. I've lived through wars, recessions, heartbreak, and miracles. I raised 3 children, buried my husband, and watched the world transform in ways I never imagined. But nothing prepared me for the moment my own daughter sat across from me at the kitchen table and gently said, "Mom, maybe it's time for a nursing home." At that moment, my heart broke. Not because I feared getting older, but because I feared losing my freedom. And what happened next changed everything. A long life. When you live to 105, you collect stories the way old houses collect memories. I was born in 1920. There were no smartphones, no internet. Most families had barely heard of television. Life was simple. Hard, but simple. My father worked long days. My mother cooked everything from scratch. And we learned early that life doesn't give you comfort unless you fight for it. By the time I was 20, the world was already at war. By 30, I was married. By 40, I had children running through this very house. And now, I was 105. Still waking up every morning in the same home where my grandchildren once played. The conversation. My daughter Linda came over that morning with coffee and a serious look on her face. I knew something was coming. You don't live this long without learning how to read people. She sat down slowly and said, "Mom, we need to talk." Those 4 words are never good news. She began explaining how worried she was about my age, about my safety, about me living alone. She talked about nice nursing homes, places with nurses, activities, security. She said they were beautiful, but to me, they sounded like cages. What she didn't understand. I looked around my kitchen. Every corner of this house holds a memory. That wall still has the mark where my grandson threw a baseball too hard. That table is where my husband and I drank coffee every morning for 40 years. This house isn't just wood and bricks. It's my life. Moving me into a nursing home would mean leaving behind the last pieces of the world I built. And that thought made me cry. At 105 years old, I cried like a child. The fear behind their concern. Now, I don't blame my daughter. Children worry. When your parents get old, fear creeps in. Fear of accidents, fear of illness, fear of losing them. Linda wasn't trying to take my freedom. She was trying to protect me. But protection and control can look very similar. And sometimes love makes people forget that independence matters, even at 105. My decision. That night after she left, I sat in my chair by the window, the same chair where I've watched thousands of sunsets. And I asked myself one simple question: what kind of life do I want now? Safe, but trapped? Or free, but still living? The answer came quickly. Freedom. Always freedom. What I told my daughter. The next morning, I called Linda. I told her something she wasn't expecting. I said, "Sweetheart, I understand why you're worried, but I'm not done living yet." There was silence on the phone. Then I explained. I told her I would make adjustments. I would accept help when needed, but leaving my home wasn't one of those adjustments. Because independence isn't about age. It's about dignity. The compromise. After many conversations, we found a solution. A nurse visits me a few times a week. My neighbors check in regularly. Linda calls every day. And I installed a small emergency system just in case. Small changes, but they allowed me to keep the one thing that mattered most: my freedom. Life at 105. You might wonder what life looks like at 105. It's quieter, slower, but it's still beautiful. I wake up early. I sit on the porch with tea. I watch birds argue over crumbs like little politicians. Sometimes my great-grandchildren visit and ask me about the old days. To them, I'm history. To myself, I'm just a woman who kept living. The real secret to long life. People often ask me my secret to living so long. Is it diet, exercise, good genetics? Maybe. But I think the real secret is something simpler: purpose. As long as you wake up with a reason to see the day, life keeps pulling you forward. The moment you give up your independence, that purpose fades. And I wasn't ready for that. Not yet. What my daughter learned. Over time, Linda understood. She saw that living at home made me happier, stronger, more alive. Sometimes love means protecting someone, but sometimes love means trusting them to choose their own path, even when they're 105. One day, maybe I will need more help. Maybe a nursing home will become the right choice. But today isn't that day. Today, I wake up in my home. I drink my tea. I watch the sunrise. And I remind myself that even at 105, life is still worth living on my own terms.